My name's Lewis, and I'm an addict. Danny, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. My name's Danny. I'm an addict.
This really is a consensus-based decision making, and it's not just going to be a prezo. We're going to actually do a mock region, and as Matt pointed out, this is a BYORS event, meaning bring your own rocket ships. So basically, as we've discussed briefly, there are some concerns with Robert's Rules of Order, and a lot of this data came from my good friend Chris, who compiled this for me. Chris up in New England. If you look at the complete Robert's Rules, it's a encyclopedia. I mean, it's huge. There's a easy to follow 5-page cheat sheet. A lot of rules, requirements, niceties that can be manipulated and slow things down. It can be divisive, creates us versus them. And there's the general thought is we're governed by a God's will as it may be expressed in a group conscience. I mean, does a majority or even 2/3 really reflect God's will? And many service bodies, as Mark just pointed out, use a hybrid approach, where some features of both. And one thing that was very surprising to me from being at many World Service conferences is that Robert's Rules is not universal. There are a lot of parts of the world where their cultures don't use it. A lot of our Ds didn't understand it from other parts of the world. It's definitely, more Anglo-Saxon than anything else. I mean, it's very Western European. I mean, there are lots of other cultures that just don't relate to it, so it's not universal. And I know Mark mentioned that a lot of things do take longer with consensus, but some things do go quicker. At the 2018 conference, some motions were done in a minute or two. I mean, because there was a total consensus and there was no reason to go through the pros and the cons, and it just went quickly. So some things do go faster, but it depends on what it is. And so the answer is consensus-based decision-making, all these fireworks and everything. And so my experience is really based, and I'm not using the presentation mode because I really, don't know how to use it very well, but so just in case you're wondering, the Chicagoland region where I'm from, we've been using consensus-based for a long time now, and we're a very open process. You don't have to be an RCM to come and raise new business. You don't have to be, anyone can come to our region and talk about a topic, and anyone can talk. It's a very open, easygoing thing. We have an 80% consensus, but after doing this for so many years, very few things ever come to a vote. If it's in talking to people who are considering changing to consensus-based, their biggest concern is, well, how do you measure the votes and stuff like that? Well, in our situation, we don't vote very often. We just don't need to when it's done properly. And when votes do arise, each of our RCMs, 14, I think it's 15 areas now, and trusted servants except facilitators can vote. So not alternates, but like treasurer can vote, but not alternate. RD and RDA can vote. Hyper can vote. So it's a really open process, and all voices get heard. And so in our decision making, we start with a straw poll. Any member, as I've mentioned, can make a topic of discussion at any time, does not have to be an RCM. During new business, topic maker discusses their concern and answers questions. Now, sometimes what gets pointed is a topic without a proposal, and in many contexts, these come out of open forum. We don't have an open forum because the entire meeting is an open forum. If you have a topic, you can raise it. And so during new business, topic maker discusses their concerns. During the initial discussion, sometimes proposals emerge, and the facilitator carefully listens for that. And if a proposal emerges, there's a straw poll. And sometimes, there's immediate agreement and the straw poll passes right away. Let's move on here. So if a straw poll shows no consensus, discussion continues, Facilitator listens carefully to find possible compromises. If a new proposal emerges, we see if there's a consensus around it and continue discussion if there's not. If complete consensus does not emerge, we take a vote and see if there's 80% support. And if there's no consensus, there are several options. You can table the matter and have the relevant subcommittee consider it. You can assign an ad hoc committee to investigate it. If the proposal involves policy, send it to the policy committee or just let the proposal die. Whichever option the facilitator takes, they get buy-in from the body. Hey, there's no consensus here. Let's just move on. And, you know, and so, yeah, so the body governs those decisions. Let's see, move on here. And so the facilitator's role is basically to manage the agenda and make sure that all are able to speak or ask questions, be open-minded, unattached to any outcome, don't express an opinion, and above all, you gotta listen. But listening is not enough because you gotta hear. And what I've been able to do as a facilitator is we always have those squeaky wheels in every service body. And what I've learned over a lot of experience is that those squeaky wheels have great ideas, but no one has ever taken the time to actually sit down and listen to them and hear them. And bringing them part of the process makes them less of a squeaky wheel and makes them welcome. So our votes are very rare. Budgets are supposed to be voted on, but that's in policy actually, but there's no need if consensus is reached. Now, one thing we do, and I'm very insistent on this, is that, by the way, I was one of the people who wrote our policy many years ago. I used to be a big policy person, I'm less now. You know, I've always objected to the concept where people, you know, in an election stand for a position, answer questions, and then have to leave the room while people throw shit about them. I've always opposed that. So what we do is they don't leave the room, but we have paper ballots so that you don't have to be visible in opposing someone. And so that if you can't express concern in the face of that person, then perhaps you shouldn't be spreading gossip, right? And so that's something that we've done in Chicago, and it's very tempting to get away from it. It's easy to say, anybody object? And I always jump in, no, that's not our policy. And then also motions of no confidence, they have to be, they're also a secret ballot, but they're elections that have to take place. As I mentioned, in Chicagoland, our votes are very rare. I already said this slide, sorry. As you can see, I'm old. So one of the benefits is that over time, everyone feels a part of the process and learns to trust it. You know, less than full consensus is rare. It is easier to accept an unfavorable outcome if you are in a small minority. There's no need to manipulate the process, e.g. no stacking two pros, two cons, and Robert's rules, all these other things that we've all experienced in some point or another. Any member may participate. Easy decisions come quick. If no one disagrees on the first straw poll, move on. Everyone in a Robert's Rules setting has been a part of the situation where someone raises a motion where they know there's 100% support for it, but yet they still have to go through the Robert's Rules process. In consensus-based, you don't have to. First thing you say is anybody opposed? Nope, we're done. It's easy. Tough decisions may take a bit more time, but the final solution is always better when everyone has had a voice and all ideas have been considered. You know, let's see. Now I will talk about the Midwest Zona Forum. We have 100% consensus of the Midwest Zona Forum, and we've been doing that forever as well. By the way, Chicagoland got to consensus when two people from Wisconsin, who I'm sure are well known to many of you, came down and told Chicagoland reason you should do this, and Chicago adopted before I moved there, by the way. And they never had a policy in place, and we finally put one in. So anyway, those same people were influential in doing it in the Midwest Zona Forum. Anyone, again, can participate. Anyone can anyone can vote on trusted servants, which are balloted if contested, consensus otherwise. At our last Midwest Zona Forum meeting, I was actually doing a workshop for RDs at Northeast Zonal Forum, so I had to skip away. And someone from the Northeast came to the Midwest Zona Forum earlier in the day, and we had an election, and that person voted. And back at the Northeast Zona Forum, the person commented on that. Anyone can participate. So let's see. Our discussion process for each topic, facilitators determine best way to reach solution. MZF brainstorms possible solutions. Facilitators listen to pros and cons and seek areas of consensus or compromise. Facilitators adjust, compromise, and fine tune so all members are satisfied. Repeat steps until consensus is reached. This, incidentally, is an abbreviation of our policy in the MZF, which is available on mzfna.org. And the MZF options is that all can accept. If you don't support it, you can stand aside or you can block. One person at the MZF can block a decision. And frankly, we've never really had a problem with that. And so again, people trust the process. It's very rare when unanimity cannot be reached. In an environment where every idea is heard and considered, people are usually fine to stand aside instead of block. And basically, tradition 2, for our group purpose, there's one ultimate authority, a loving goddess to me, express himself in our group conscience. Our leaders of our trusted servants, they do not govern. Anyone with experience doing CBDM will tell you a decision reached by consensus feels a lot more in keeping with the spirit of tradition 2 than a decision formed by a simple majority or even a 2/3 majority.